Hey everyone, and welcome back. And I'm your ride share life coach. And today I want to talk about something. I told you that I would be sharing more of my martial arts journey with you. And I went to my Tuesday night class, and I realized that when you really realize that the American system, like the systems that they got in place, is actually set up to work against you. And when you realize this, and you start putting yourself in, it's not something that happens overnight. Like I said, it's a long transition, because even when I transition to the rideshare industry to give myself to just free myself up from things that I feel like keep me in what you would call a chokehold, it's still a process. It's still a process. And, like, I appreciate my journey, but like when I was driving home last night from my martial arts class, and I realized that when you learn that there's so many different martial art practices that was outlawed, however, they found creative ways, right, to still be able to practice it. And just imagine the people in charge saying, oh, you cannot do martial art. Why would they want people to not do martial arts? Because it actually hits every aspect of who you are. It challenges you from the inside. It also challenges you from the outside. And there's tons of different practices, and I know everybody are going to be drawn to different things per where they live, per even what's in your DNA. And I realized, a little the backstory on the capoeira is that they tried to outlaw them from practicing it. That's why it looks, when you see breakdancing now, you see breakdancing and capoeira, the moves in the holder actually look very similar. So they had to tell these people that, oh no, we're just playing and dancing, just to be able to keep a practice that for some people it's more of a sacred space than others. Now, I'm going to tell you, like, when I started, right, and again, I actually had broke my wrist and I had surgery. And I'm going to be honest, I did not go to therapy. I just kind of self-therapy myself to try to get my wrist back strong, because I'm like, they're just going to inflict pain on me and charge me for it, because I'm not telling people not to go to professionals, but there's enough information out here. If you're strong enough, you can get through it. Because I also, when I had my surgery, I did not take medication. However, they tried to give me, they started with the higher dose. They tried to give it to me, and I refused to take it because I wanted to see something, right? And my experience not taking a pain medication taught me that, how do you know if it's properly healing if you can't feel the pain? You can't feel the process of the pain. I know everybody pain tolerance is different, but they give you this medication, which is just a Band-Aid. And however, they're giving you something to Band-Aid a problem that could create a bigger problem for something else in your mind, in your body, in your soul. Because I guess, you got to look at, what is it? What do you call it? The warning label, right? They have a warning label that you will read that'll say, oh, by the way, just trying to pamper one little problem may cause a bigger problem later on. And I don't see the theory. I don't see the real logic behind that. Okay. And that's why I say it's a business. But that whole time I was like, okay, I feel pain. But when I conditioned my mind to know that it was healing, the pain felt different. It felt different. So I overcame that. That's even before I got to the point to where I'm at now, 2 or 3 years later, with it, using it, but I still neglected. It was not as functional, right? So when I started my martial arts class about 8 months ago, I was not doing push-ups. I was not doing handstands. I was not doing cartwheels. When I got there, I wasn't able to really like put my hand flat. And sometimes my coach still get on me, like, keep your flat palms. That's something that I had to work on and gradually get myself up to that point. But, I just realized that, like, when you get into martial art practices, right, and you really get serious about it, it will change your mind. It will change your lifestyle, because it also, is a discipline thing. Because when you start, you're not going to be good, and you got to go through the process of learning. You got to go through the process of failing. You got to go through this process, and you have to keep going in order to master master yourself, or master the things that you want to do with yourself, not just in that practice, but in your life. So now I can see why they outlaw a lot of these martial art practices. I can see why they took these practices from people. Because when you get into it and you are serious about it, your eyes will open up to a lot of things, right? And you will realize that a lot of things that society has in front of you is a lie, and it's working against you. And then, we're living our everyday lives, wondering why we're having all these problems, but yet we're afraid to step outside of society to fix our own problems to be okay. Because if we sit here and we listen to we overconsume all the garbage, all the negativity, we will never take the time to invest in ourselves, to improve ourselves, right? To know that we can do whatever we put our mind to. Because society system is, if you have a problem, we can fix it, but it's going to come with a price, right? And the price that society has to pay to fix problems, I'm not willing to pay that. Because it's not just a physical price through paper money. It's a price through your mind, your body, your spirit, everything, right? But I know I went on a little rant this morning, or it could be a rant, but it's just, me opening up and sharing my journey, because I know there's other people that are out here on the same journey. I know that there's people out here that have been thinking about this journey. And I want to say that it's never too late to start, right? And don't over consume yourself with information. Get the information. If it applies to you, if you resonate with it, start to activate it for yourself, right? And don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid of the process of change, because in this world, the society has conditioned the minds of a lot of people to make people think that, if you get in this, it's stable, stability. No, your stability comes from you. You are the one to stabilize yourself, and no one else. I cannot make this up. So, just be encouraged. We are all here together. Don't be afraid to start your journey. Take baby steps. You have to crawl before you walk. Don't be afraid of the process, because as you go through the process, you will then learn how strong you truly are. And then once you learn how strong you truly are, then you can begin to master who you are and things about who you are. It starts within, and it spills over into the outside. So you guys have a great week. I will be back in my next video.